Yo guys, what's going on? Blossom is back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Today we return to the What Can You Get From That Pack series, and the carbon fiber in question is indeed the Call of the Wild carbon fiber, which you can now purchase from the store. The first one is the single carbon fiber that gives you cash and slots for $1,599, which I think that's a pretty good deal because it's basically a special carbon fiber price, but you also get 10 slots and 20k. And then you have the more expensive option, which is the Elite Pack that gets you 25 cards for 7,000 gold. You also get 25 slots and 30,000 cash. That being said though, we are just going to review the Call of the Wild carbon fiber. Here are the contents, as you can see, in full, which I think is pretty nice. It's better than the filtering system when you can only see about 8-10 cards at a time. So here's everything that you can get that isn't a prize card. I'm going to be reviewing them and telling you which is, better than the other, or which is the best and which is the worst. Now, as you can tell, I'm doing this series in a new format. Usually I do it via BlueStacks in Top Drives in the game, and I'm in my own account with the filtering system to Call of the Wild. But this time I'm doing it with 5 different tiers with easy keepers, worth the try, pretty dry, sigh, and hot garbage. I'm pretty sure that this is more in-depth, so let me know down in the comments below if you prefer this tier list format or you prefer the way that I usually do it, where I kind of just point out the key cards and everything else is, like I say, hot garbage. Now, before I rank the cars, I need to say one quick disclaimer. I am ranking these cars open water style, okay? Because if I was just ranking them with how useful they're going to be in the Call of the Wild challenge, everything is going to be pretty dry and above. Nothing's going to be side, nothing's going to be hot garbage. Because at the end of the day, for a Hutch legendary challenge, they're going to try their best to make every single car useful, all right? So unlike a try series where there are literally 5-6 cars that are way better than the others, when it comes to a Hutch legendary challenge like this one, the Call of the Wild, I guess 2, they're gonna try and make every car useful. You're gonna get use out of cars which I would usually rank lower than others. Like, for example, these 2 K-Mons. The yellow one is better, but when it comes to the challenge, if you have either one maxed out, it's gonna help you either way. So I'm going to be ranking these cars in an open water in a general sense, right? So when I think about the Guaras, I'm not only gonna think about all the Guaras in the Call of the Wild tag, I'm gonna think about it in a broader perspective. I'm gonna think of all the Italian cars, I'm going to think about all the 2000 cars or whatever year the Guaras are in, all the 90s cars, all that kind of stuff. Okay? All right. Nice little disclaimer. Anyway, let's get into it. Here are the ranks. Easy keepers, worth the try, pretty dry, sigh, and of course, hot garbage, my favorite phrase for this series. So we're going to start off with the tomatoes, and we are starting off with the amazing Di Tommaso Guara. That is a fantastic beast. Max that baby out 699. You're getting 3.70 to 60, 95 handling for 60 RQ. That is a keeper. If you get that from your carbon fiber, you'd be happy. I would be happy. That's better on paper stats than the RQ63 A-Bar 030. Now, the 030 does have much better MRA, and the Guara has no MRA, so the top speed is irrelevant, but it is a relatively lightweight car, and with those stats, it's a great little twisty. Next up is the Di Tommaso Guara from 1993. This one is worth the try. That is a literal discount A-Bar 030, because if you max it out, it's 4.095, the same exact stats as, well, the A-Bar 030. A-Bar 030, though, does have better MRA, and the Guaras don't really have MRA, and it's pretty funny, because as you can see, the yellow one actually has better stats, a 0.4 difference in 0 to 60, which is pretty insane. But at the end of the day, both Guaras are actually really good keepers. Now we gotta talk about the Panteras. So both Panteras over here, I would say this one is sigh and this one is hot garbage. Why? It's because when they both go low, at least the Di Tommaso GT5-S that is inside, the red one, is going to stay in ultra rare. They're probably gonna bump it down to maybe RQ54, 53. But the Di Tommaso Pantera GTS, though, that is hot garbage. When that goes low, that's going super rare. Now, a lot of people, whenever this Di Tommaso Pantera GTS is, in the video, a lot of people are telling me, hey, Blossom, it's actually medium. Like, it's not going to go low. Here's the thing. Everyone that has told me that these Di Tommasos are actually medium, you need to do better research. Like, seriously, because everyone that has told me that it's medium, I've told them, okay, send me a link. Show me where, because I've done my research. I know what the ground clearances are on these things. they're low, right? And then they would send me the link, and then I would read the link, and then yes, the link does say that it is under that it is over 132 millimeters, so it should be medium. But here's the thing, the link that you're sending me for these Di Tommaso Panteras are from 1971. This one on question is 1974. So if you can find me a source, multiple sources, because one source isn't enough, if you can find me multiple sources that GTS, the 1974 Pantera GTS, is medium ground clearance, hence over 132 millimeters, then I'll shut up. But I haven't seen anyone that's proved me wrong yet. Next one is the Di Tommaso Pantera SI. Now this one's actually not bad. I would say it's worth the try. It is very low in ultra rare RQ, and the stats aren't that bad. 0 to 60, when you max it out, it's going to be sub 5 seconds, and then handling is 93, I believe. So it's actually pretty good. I have one maxed out. It's a decent RQ55 car. It's not going to beat the Desire. The Desire is the best twisty RQ55, but the Pantera is decent in its niche, where it's like the 90s or the Italians. It's a pretty good car to have in your garage, and I think it's worth the try. Now, next up is the Bronco Concept. The Bronco Concept, I would say, is worth the try. It has a really good niche, 4-wheel drive off-road. There are not a lot of cars that has 4-wheel drive and off-road and is RQ54. In fact, there are none. That's the only one. The handling is actually decent as well for, you know, a 4-wheel drive off-road tire high ground clearance car, and I would say that it is indeed worth the try. I would be happy to get from my pack. I only have one, and I'd be happy to get two. The next one is the Ford Mustang 2.3. Not gonna lie, that one is pretty dry. It's not the worst car in the world, and to be completely honest, it's actually one of the better RQ50s in the game. It's just that at the end of the day, it's just not as good as the Lotus Elise 135. Not to say that it's bad. Like I said, it's a pretty dry car. The stats are actually okay. Once again, the 0 to 60 will be sub 5 seconds, and the handling, well, it's gonna be above 90. In fact, it's just a slightly worse version than the Di Tommaso Pantera. I mean, look at it, 5.4, 5.5, 8.4, 8.3, and for RQ50, it's a pretty decent car. It's not the best, and that's why I'm limiting it to pretty dry. Next up is the Ford Mustang. Everybody remember 5.0 79. It is indeed worth the try. It is a fantastic bang for your buck when it comes to medium ground clearance cars. RQ53 with those stats, as you know, it's unrivaled. If you checked out my top 3 best and top 3 worst series for ultra rares, you'll know how much I rate that Ford Mustang GT. Oh yeah, one more disclaimer. This is all my opinion, by the way, but then again, I have played this game for at least 4 hours a day for almost 4 years. Haha. Alright, next up, Ford Mustang GT. This one's pretty dry. It's basically just a little better version of the 2.3 in every way, shape, and form. Like, both of them are definitely relatives. You can tell. They have so many same traits. Once again, it's just a RQ60 car, right? The 0 to 60 is, you know, pretty good. The handling is, you know, pretty good. But at the end of the day, it's still, you know, just, you know, kind of average. The main problem here is, I think not the 0 to 60, but the handling. A lot of cars that are RQ60 are able of hitting 94 handling, 95 handling, but the Mustang GT just can't hit those heights. The 0 to 60 is impressive, however, and if you 996 it for some reason, I did it, you get 3.9 0 to 60, so you can actually get sub 4 seconds on the Ford Mustang GT. And it's gonna be really useful for the challenge like all the other cars, but at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, it's just pretty dry. Next up is the Porsche 718 Cayman. It's the same kind of situation here. You know, for RQ62, the handling is, you know, average. The 0 to 60 is average. The MRA is average. It's just a very average car, and that's why you're getting an average rank of pretty dry. Next up on the list is the Porsche Cayman, and this one is a bit of a, well, it's a sigh, honestly. It's not the worst, it's not hot garbage, but once again, like I said, it's like one of the better RQ50s. Actually, no, I take that back, because there's literally the Ford Mustang 2.3 right there, and it has a better 0 to 60. It's not one of the better RQ50s, but it's not the worst either, so I'm gonna put it in sigh. Next one is the Porsche Cayman. This one is also sigh. The only thing that this car actually has is MRA, but it doesn't have a high top speed, so it's not going to get you very far. The 0 to 60 is also very bad for an RQ59 when you compare it with, I don't know, this RQ58. That's 4.9, that's 5.6. That's a huge difference, and that's a car that's cheaper in RQ. I know that it has no MRA, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to use the Cayman on a drag because the other Cayman exists, the RQ60, and that one is a pretty dry car. It's just a slightly better version of the Cayman. It handles a little better, the 0 to 60 is a little lower, and and the MRA is just about as good. I have to be honest, both K-Mons have good MRA, but at the end of the day, their 0 to 60s are a little pretty bad, and the handling kind of average. So at the end of the day, a lot of these Porsches are kind of average. Anyway, those are all the ultra rares. As you can see, there's 1 easy keeper, 4 worth the try, 4 pretty dry, 3 sigh, and 1 hot garbage. Now let's move on to epics. First one is the Chevrolet Corvette Stingray Z51. This car is, well, pretty dry. I would put it in worth the try, but ever since American Frontier came, I can't put it in worth the try anymore because the Dodge Viper GTSR concept exists, and I guess you guys will know where I'll put that one now. Next one is the Dodge Viper ACR. That's just sigh, to be honest. The only niche I have seen the Dodge Viper ACR been used in is the 1960 to 1990 American Frontier cars. That tag has shown up twice since the update, and to be fair, I did get first place, and I did get an undefeated. I think I was like 52-0 with a maxed out Viper ACR, but that doesn't really mean crap because at the end of the day, I've only used this car twice ever since the American Frontier dropped. It's not useful, and at the same time, the Viper ACR isn't even in the top 2 American Frontier 60 to 90s epics because it's still not as good as the Sidewinder and the Dodge M4S. So unfortunately, even in its known niche, it's good, but it's not the best. And when it comes to a general sense, it's hot garbage. So it's sigh. I'm sorry. I love that Viper. I love the ACR. It's from my birth year, but I gotta be unbiased with these things. Last but not least is the Dodge Viper GTSR concept. Don't know why I said last but not least because we have 3 more Vipers to cover, but that's a really good one. Basically, it's just a better version of the Corvette. And as you can see, they're right next to each other. They both have the same 0 to 60. They both handle the same. The Viper has a higher top speed and it has better MRA, so it's a really good car. It's worth the try. Next up is the Dodge Viper SRT10, and to be completely honest, it's sigh. It's won me 3 prize cars, but outside of the 3 prize cars, it has won me nothing. Now, winning me 3 prize cars, yeah, it's huge, but you guys know that Hutch likes to use the worst epics to be keys in, you know, a Tri-Series final. So that kind of fits the bill. It's a sigh. Next up is the Dodge Viper SRT10. This one is, you know, it's pretty dry. It basically is the most meh Viper, right? It's not crap, but it's not good. It's not the SRT10 because it handles a little better, but it's not the Dodge Viper GTSR concept because it handles a little worse. It makes sense. Everything kind of just makes sense. Everything's falling into place. Last but not least is the Dodge Viper SRT10. That's an easy keeper, baby. That is the best of the Vipers. That is the daddy Viper right there, okay? Because not only does it have amazing MRA, it has a lower 0 to 60 than the Viper GTSR, handles just about the same, and it's just a better version of the SLS Roadster, which is a fantastic epic. That is an easy keeper. That's on my wish list. I want that Dodge. It's one of like 4 Dodges that I don't have. Next one is the Ford F-150 Raptor. That is going to be an easy keeper. It's just a better version of the other SVT Raptor, which is worth the try. At the end of the day, both of them are really good. 4-wheel drive off-road tires. They handle very well, and the 0 to 60 is low, but then the Ford F-150 Raptor from American Frontier, that 0 to 60 is even lower, baby. That is a very good car. I really want that. Honestly, these 2 cars alone, the Viper and the F-150 Raptor, are enough incentive for me to open the pack. Now, next up is the Ford Mustang Boss 302. That is sigh. If that was still medium, then it would either be worth the try or a high pretty dry, but since it's low, it's just sigh, because 84 handling, that kind of just is purgatory for an epic. Like, you need some kind of outstanding achievement to be good, and the Ford Mustang doesn't have that anymore. 0 to 60 is low, to be fair, for RQ69, but the handling isn't very good, and although the 0 to 60 is low, the top speed isn't very high, the MRA isn't very good, so it's not going to be a drag car anyway. Best case scenario, probably hairpin or fast circuit. That's it though. Next one is the Ford Mustang GT Power Pack. That is hot garbage. It's probably the worst epic that you can get from the pack. And then next up is the Ford Mustang SVT Cobra, and that is worth the try. Why? Because it hits 99 handling for RQ68. You know how I talked about outstanding achievements that the Ford Mustang Boss 302 doesn't have? That's what the SVT has. Because although the 0 to 60 isn't the best, although the MRA isn't the best, for RQ68, for one of the lowest tier epics in the game, you are getting 99 handling when you max that baby out. 99 handling. That's not a lot of cars can get 99 handling, even in in the epic range. So that is a very good bang for your buck in my opinion. Next one is the Porsche Cayman GTS. That is hot garbage. There is a bit of bias going to that, considering that car won me jack crap in the 2010 to 2014 GT series. That thing couldn't beat ultra rares, and I have it max, and it couldn't beat ultra rares. It's 3494, which is the, I guess, when you look at RQ69, just look at RQ69. Go in your garage, go into all cars, check out RQ69. Literally half the performance tire low ground clearance cars are all 4185. So if they're all 4185, you're gonna need something to stand out. What is that? Good MRA. What does the Porsche Cayman GTS have? Not good MRA. So not only does it have, I guess, very, generic stats to every RQ69, it has no outstanding positives to it or outstanding achievements. So because of that, in my opinion, and with that added bias of how it didn't win me jack in the 2010 and 2014 GT series, I'm putting it in hot garbage. Now, let's move on to legendaries. Here, ironically, a lot of the legendaries are going to be hot garbage, not gonna lie. So first one is the Dodge SRT Viper. It's pretty dry. It's not the best legendary. It hits 100 handling, and it gets 3.00 to 60. I know because I have it maxed out. MRA is decent as well, but at the end of the day, I don't really use Bollywood that much. So as much as I love the Viper, the highest I can give it is pretty dry. Next up is the Dodge Viper SRT 10 ACR. Now this one is worth the try. It's really good, okay? It handles better than the 83 Bollywood, right? And it's cheaper in RQ. It is one of the highest handling American cars, and it's also one of the highest handling RQ81s. 0 to 60 is also relatively low. MRA is okay. The only thing that brings this thing down is the low top speed for a legendary. Well, think of it this way. It's just a cheaper ACR, and that's also an ACR, but it's a cheaper version of Hollywood. And that's a good thing, because Hollywood, I think, is, a great bang for your buck for RQ86, and this is a great bang for your buck for RQ81. Next up is Syracuse Dodge Viper TA. That is worth the try. Amazing MRA on that. I think it's around 95, 92 to 95. 0 to 60 is low, handling is high. It's just a slightly worse version of Hollywood once again, but it does hit over 200 miles per hour when you max it out, so that's a plus. Hollywood can't do that. Hollywood gets, I think, 177, something like that. So yes, this with the MRA, with the 95 MRA, 92 MRA that it has, it's actually a very capable car for twisties and test bowl and 1 mile and half mile. It's just a great all-rounder. Next up are the Lambos. Oh god. Okay, repeat after me. Hot garbage, hot garbage, hot garbage. Hot garbage. Yep, those are all the hot garbages, and then these two are just slightly better. So the Murcielago LP640, that's sigh. And then the Murcielago Super Veloce is the Murcielago LP. I can't read it. It's so LP704. That's not right. That's not a number for the letter. 764. I can't read it. Sorry, it's too small. The font is too small. That one's pretty dry. That's the best of the Lambos. It handles the best, and the 0 to 60 is the lowest. But I have to say, the rest of the Lamborghini Murcielagos, yeah, they're so bad, man. They're so bad. I have a really bad experience with this Murcielago over here. I won this from, I think, the Halloween event. I upgraded it as well. It has a couple fuses in it, and it still couldn't win me the Jag. The XJR, because it's a 2001 car, and that was a 2001 final. Even with upgrades, that thing lost to Epics. It's trash. It's hot garbage. Everything here is just hot garbage. But yeah, that's going to be my list for Call of the Wild. At the end of the day, here's my verdict. Should you open it? It's a decent pack, especially if you're looking for good American cars. This is going to set you straight because it has the best American off-roaders and it has the best American twisty epic in the Dodge Viper SRT 10. So yeah, it's a pretty good pack if you want American cars. Am I going to open it? Yeah, because I want American cars, and lo and behold, the 2 out of the 3 cars in Easy Keepers are cars that are on my top 10 wish list. Though, if you don't want a good American garage, or if you're not chasing American cars and you don't really care about the 4 legendary prize cars, which of 1 you can win from the Call of the Wild series, I would say this isn't like the best pack in the world. It's not the worst pack to ever been released. Call of the Wild's actually okay, in my opinion, but it's also not the best, right? So at the end of the day, you know, if you don't want American cars, if you don't want good American cars, then you're left with basically a bunch of mediocre German Porsches, you know, a couple decent Di Tomasos, a lot of bad Di Tomasos, and a bunch of crap Lamborghinis. So if you don't care, literally, if you don't care about American cars, this pack is crap, to be completely honest. If you don't care about American cars, this pack is crap. But if you like American cars, fantastic pack. And I have to say, in terms of a general sense, that Ford F-150 Raptor and the Dodge Viper gonna save your life. The Concept gonna save your life. The SVT Raptor gonna save your life. I would say even the RQ81 ACR and Syracuse gonna save your life. But everything else is kind of just like cut rate, honestly. So at the end of the day, that's my verdict. That's my rank. If you want to play this as well, I will have this to the public, open to the public. The list is open to the public. Link in the description below. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.